Is the pitching staff boring? Slayton,
is the pitching staff is the pitching staff boring? Well,
yes.
I mean, I would honestly say this. It said it would be less boring if Jordan Montgomery was here, and I don't think Jordan Montgomery is like an overly exciting guy, but just the idea.
No, but he's the results. He's really never been hit. He's got a great ERA as a starter. Definitely a major help. Definitely,
yeah. He's a major help.
Not good.
Yeah, it's. I think though, let's not get twisted though, John. Is that Jordan Montgomery is a good pitcher to have, but his team win-loss even last year when he was really good was under 500. So I think that why he is a very good pitcher to have. The reality too is everybody loves the idea of him without looking up a lot of the stats. Like John, I think
he doesn't get hit. He doesn't get hit as a starter. Look at his starting numbers.
I'm not devaluing him. You're not going to take me down that road. But my point is,
he's better than Criswell. True, I understand the finances.
Yes, better, probably better than Criswell. Yeah.
And again, Bayo's here for 5 years. So what are we celebrating? He can't go anywhere.
I mean,
right? Am I right or wrong?
Listen. When I go to one of these Fort Meyer eateries, and you hit the sweet spot, you realize hold on a second, John. When you hit the sweet spot and you show up 10 minutes before happy hour ends, and you're like, oh my goodness, this drink that I'm ordering, now I get 2 of them. You take whatever you can, right? It's the little things in life.
Right. Yes, sure. It's a piece of a puzzle. But he wasn't going anywhere, Rob, for 5 years. He's not a free agent for 5 years.
I know, but everybody's happy.
Thank you.
Can everybody be happy? Can't everybody? We just have to be.
Who in the pitching staff, Rob, has proven anything in the big league?
John, I just said this.
Answer the question.
John,
me, please.
John, I just said this. I literally just said this. I said this is the importance of having that guy like Jordan Montgomery is because you have to, while you figure out who actually isn't a maybe, isn't a might be, you have to have the certainty, and they don't have that. So, yes, we are saying the same things, John. We are saying the same things. So,
we agree to agree.
We agree to agree. I appreciate it. All right, we'll talk to you next week. All right, John and Framing. Yeah. All right, we're going to have – I want Julian McWilliams' thoughts. I'm just going to let him vent. I'm just going to let him rant. He's already ranted on people walking around barefoot, all of that. I'm just going to let him just rant after the break. And like we said, we hope that Kenley Jansen's going to be coming up at some point. We hope that Will Fleming calls in from the Dominican to set the scene there. And we got the play testing guys, Gordo and Sammy, going to be joining us for the last couple hours. A lot of passion, a lot of enthusiasm, a lot of hot takes, a lot of education. It's really the only place that you want to be the entirety of the afternoon. You're welcome. Hey, you're welcome, everybody. You're welcome. All right, be back after this.
From the Rubenstein Law Studios.
All right, let's go. Let's go. Baseball's and boring. Find people in McFarland. Baseball's and boring podcast. You want to check it out every single day. Every single day. I know one person who does. He says, "Hey, it's 7 o'clock in the morning. Is it up yet?" I said, "Yeah. Good thing you subscribed. Just hit the button and you'll play. Oh, it's such a great interview. Thank you. I've never had someone sit down and get Xander Bogart to talk that honestly before. Oh my goodness, your podcast is so good." That person who I just paraphrased or just quoted directly was Julian McWilliams of the Boston Globe. Hi, Julian.
How you doing? I'm great. How are you doing?
Great. I heard you ever try to get in the podcast world? You'd be good at it.
Listen. There's been a couple, uphill battles, some little, bumps in the road here, but eventually, we'll get there. Like Miley Cyrus said, it's about the climb. It's the climb. So we'll see what happens.
This is the second time in the history of the show that Miley Cyrus has been quoted.
What was the first time?
I don't even remember.
Okay.
But you did host. You hosted once when I was on a cruise.
I did. While you were just, in a lap of luxury. You and Jen and the kid. I don't even know if the kids.
No,
were
the
there,
kids were not there.
All right,
Definitely
so
not
the kids
there.
weren't there. All right. So so I had a lot of Edwin Jackson on. Last minute kind of thing because Tommy Pham, the thing fell through. I actually read the text wrong. I thought he said he could join and ended up saying he couldn't. So then I'm like, "Hey, Edwin, I need you to do this for me." He's like, "I got you, bro. I got you, bro." And it was a very, very good interview.
All right. So when you have someone like Edwin Jackson on a podcast, just two guys sitting around, it's like this show. It's sure. It's technically on the radio or streaming on your Odyssey app. But it's just some guys sitting around talking the great game of baseball, Julian. That's all it is.
Always. And, a lot of those guys have stories, man. 17-year career, 14 teams. I mean.
Yeah. Why are we going to do the collab with Rich Hill?
You should. We definitely should. And I think that would be that'll be two guys just from two different parts of the world. But sort of the same in some sense. They just love life.
They do. They're good.
Life.
They're good guys. Well, speaking of loving life, there's nobody who loves life more than Julian McWilliams, who sauntered in here, as we said before. We were the only two reporters here on the backfield.
Only two. Everybody else wants to.
I just want to thank our organization for sending us to a place where the action's happening.
Absolutely.
While all the eyewash is going on, we do. I should say this. Will Fleming, because we're the broadcast rights holders. I don't know if you know. But we're the broadcast rights holders. So Will Fleming will be holding down the fort in the broadcasting, bringing his, I think it's tonight, right? I don't even know.
Yeah.
Tonight. Big game tonight. Yeah.
So
my wife just said Kenley's heading up. So,
look at that.
Yeah. So there you go.
Wow.
So you might have to step aside.
All right, I will.
No, you don't have
worry.
to step aside. It's all
I'll
good.
step aside. It's all right.
No. It's bring over chair open so you can be in the conversation. Look, it's like look at him. Look at him. All right. All right. We're on the air. So pull up a chair, Kenley. Pull up a chair. All right. You excited to be here? Come on, let's go. The great Kenley Jansen, friend of the program. All right. Give him the mic, Julian. Give him the mic. All right, so the Kenley Jansen, who's been on the Baseballs and Boring podcast multiple times, and now you're on the radio. You're on live radio, so don't swear, don't cuss, okay? You look great. I was going to wear the exact same thing today. Hold up the mic right to.
And then you don't have that swag that I have.
Well, yeah. Well, this guy, Julian.
See my shades, bro?
Huh?
I lost my shades somewhere around there.
Probably I had it on,
Oh man, some Dolce shades, bro.
Yeah.
All right. So anyway, thanks for coming up. It's not easy getting up here, huh?
No, it's not easy. Definitely not easy, especially after you got done, working a lot and you have to climb those stairs. So, yeah, it's definitely not easy.
Nobody. I don't think I've ever seen a person work harder, at least from what we see. And Julian, you can attest to this. Like we watch, like you work hard, man. Like out there. I'm not just saying that because you're sitting here and you came up the stairs. But you work hard, so congratulations. I'm here to build you up.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I mean, you got to do what you got to do, right? So you gotta try to be in shape, and every year, the league is keep getting younger, and I'm getting older, and you got to take care of yourself, and especially coming and pitching in the ninth inning. Every year guys try to, compete against you and try to have better at bats. So you got to stay on top.
How do you feel? So let's get that out of the way. So you threw your live BP the other day. You're building up. You're building up.
Yeah.
But how did you come off of that? How do you feel? You feel ready to go? I mean, you feel like you're trending toward being ready for opening day.
It's getting better. That's why I kind of like push myself back a little bit to start the 15 now instead of 12, because I want to throw another live BP. That first one I wasn't satisfied with it. Great results, but still, like, I gotta get my cutter in the best shape I can get, and when my arm slot is more consistent to where I want it to be, and then I feel great about it.
What does satisfaction look like to you in live batting practice? You mentioned your cutter, but beyond just the cutter, what is
just
it?
Be on top of it more often, be on top and get the good extension, and I feel like I didn't have that the first live. I mean, I get it. I was shut down for 3 weeks, and 2 weeks before I showed the camp, and 1 week after I got to camp. So, you got to build back up. And that's where I'm at right now.
But you're a person who knows his routine, right?
Yeah. I know what I got to do to get ready, and I'm gonna be honest in a situation like that. I'm not gonna be like, okay, yeah, good, let's get in the game, and that's when you're gonna create bad habits. You got to go in the backfield and get your stuff ready and get your stuff right, and when you get in the game, it will be better.
All right. So we did a podcast earlier this spring. You were excellent as always. You're in the Hall of Fame, the Baseballs and Boring Hall of Fame. Congratulations already. You're going to be in the regular Hall of Fame. We're going to get you there. But you have to do a few more podcasts in order to – everyone knows this. You have to do podcasts to get in the Hall of Fame. So we did one, as I said to you when we sat down.
A couple more years.
Yeah, well, that's – you know what that means? That means a whole lot more podcasts. Let's go. But I always enjoy talking with you. And I've said this to you before because you're honest, man. Like, you're honest. And you're honest, you're respectful, and you have the right approach. You have the right goal. Your goal is to get the final out of the World Series. That's your goal. Your goal is to get 800 saves. Your goal is to get in the Hall of Fame. But your goal is also to be a good teammate. And so you do of all of that. But at the same time, this has been undeniably a stranger spring training for you, not only because of the physical stuff or getting a slow start. We talked about this. This is because of trade rumors. You said on the podcast, I said, 2 weeks before you came here, what's the odds you thought it would be that you come down, you like 60-40, then it became 50-50 on getting on the plane for Fort Myers. But you're here, you've been here. Has it gotten, as spring training has gone on, has the weirdness settled down, or is it still weird because, again, you hear trade rumors or whatever?
I mean, as a person, you just got to shut it down, right? So, like I say, in the beginning, I came here for one thing, is try to win ball games and try to compete to win for a title. This year we had a different approach, and, I'm still here. So, I gotta focus here, man. I gotta focus here. Focus what I have in front of me, and also you gotta show my teammates respect, right? So they're out there competing, and I want them to compete. I want those young guys to come out and prove themselves that they belong here in the big leagues. They belong to compete and try to win a division. I even thought that even though this is a tough division, but we gotta build that mindset to the young guys. And I think 2 days ago I was kind of thinking about like how many people play in the playoffs in this team, and not a lot. I think
not a lot.
I have the most experience, and then after that is Martin and Story, I believe. So
yeah, Devers is
yeah, Devers also.
But not. And Kenley, this is the thing: is that when. So you said what you said. When Devers said what he said, he got up there and he's like, we need to add. Here's the thing. I'm sure guys feel that way, right? Mm-hmm. But at the same time, there's not a lot of guys who can say that because to your point, there's not a lot of experience.
No, it's not. That's why I'm at the point that I'm here, and we gotta have that mindset to get that mindset to the younger guys. Pass that along for them. And what it is to play in the postseason, let's figure it out together. I know how it is. I know it's a totally different ball game, but how it is. But the way it's gonna be is come every day, expect to win. Even that we might have some, tough stretch, but we can't feel sorry for ourselves. We can't give up on ourselves and look down, and understand that we're a young team, and we can feel like teams can come and punch us around like that. So we just gotta go out there and compete, and start this era of these new kids, prove themselves that they belong here and they can compete for a division.
See, that's why you're a leader. There you go. You get me fired up. Like, come on.
But can you, like, do you have a memory of teams, or that might be an unfair question, but can you compete and be this young and still make a playoff push? Be this young and still make a playoff push, you think?
I think it's going to be a decision at the end if we're doing good, of what can they do down the line,
So we go back to the deadline.
We'll see it happen last year. We was half in the game behind.
Yeah.
The second place of wild card, and nothing happened. And you can see how things, guys got hurt and things switched, quick. So I think it's just creating that depth. I think definitely you're gonna have to have some depth going down the stretch, knowing this is a long season, and they know what they need for this team to be better. So
that's exactly what Dever said, right? I mean, when you heard Dever say that, this is my point, Kenley, is that Devers can say that, you can say that, and it needs to be said. It needs to be said from the player's perspective.
Yeah, I mean, of course, I'm definitely going to be honest about it. So, but, I'm here to do my job. I'm here to help those other guys who's coming, the 8 guys coming in there to prepare to have the best bullpen in the league. That should be our goal. That should be our mindset, and go out there and compete. And like I say, they know, and we know, like I know. So at this point in my career, man, I'm trying to compete for rings, and it's not a lot of time left here on my clock. So winning a championship in 2020 was great, but I didn't experience that parade. So you're chasing that greatness, you're chasing that good thing of how it felt when we lost against Boston, when we lost against Houston in 17 and 18. I went to World Series 3 times, and it's not a better feeling than that. So I think that's these guys need to get to know how it feels to be in the playoffs, and how it feels to be in the World Series and win a World Series. So if we come to the mindset that every game matters, and every game we're gonna expect to win and compete for winning, I think we're gonna be good instead of worry about other stuff. I think as a young team, we understand that guys gonna have options, and what I'm encouraging these guys is you can't control things. What you can control a certain thing. You can control what you can do on that field. So as long as you're gonna have options, it is what it is. But if we're gonna worry on stuff like that, we're in trouble. If we gonna worry of how we're gonna put this team in a great spot to compete, to try to win a division, and not worry about me getting traded, or guys worry about getting sent down and this and that, and playing worry about my numbers not good. We gotta do what we gotta do and help this team that day to win a ball game. And if our mindset is more on how we can move this runner over, or how I can focus on pitch after pitch, every pitch have a purpose, I think we should be exhausted when the season is over, because we're focusing on the good things.
Kenley, you're a basketball guy.
Yeah.
I remember watching a clip when Richard Jefferson, he was talking about getting to the playoffs, and excuse me, not the playoffs, but the finals, and how he got to the finals as a rookie, or I don't know, a second-year player or whatever, with Jason Kidd and then the Nets when they were in New Jersey. But then he didn't get to the finals again until 2014 or 15 or 16 with LeBron.
16 with LeBron, yeah.
And so he was saying how much he didn't understand as a younger guy how hard it was to get to that point. Have you gained any more perspective on that since you've been here?
It is hard. It is hard to make playoffs. I'm luckily when 10 years in a row in the playoffs, 9 with the Dodgers and 1 with the Braves. But it is hard to get to the playoffs, and I don't want these young guys to just take this as a granted and take it for granted and, oh, I'm in the big leagues. It is special to play in October. And I could tell you, like, playing against the Red Sox in 2018, man, that crowd, I'm telling you, it's unbelievable playing in Fenway in the World Series. That was one of my best experience. We didn't win it, as the Dodgers, but that was the best experience that I experienced game 1 and game 2. I mean, that atmosphere in Fenway, I was looking forward to that. When they say year 2, we're really going to compete for a title. So I was looking for it, man. Like, it's the best place to play. I'm telling you, even that we came in the last place last year, the atmosphere, the fans, I don't want people to take this for granted. It's the best place to play. I play in 3 different spots, and Boston is up there.
Well, Kenley, I appreciate your time.
Yeah.
You're one of the best.
Thank
Maybe
you.
the best. I don't know. One of the best. But yeah, man, thanks so much. I could talk to you for hours upon hours upon hours, but we got all spring training and the rest of your career to do that. So, all right, thanks, man.
All right, thank
appreciate it. All right, the great Kenley Jansen. All right, we're running late. We'll be back right after this.
93.7
WEEI. WEEI in Boston.
Legendary station.
Boston's
Sports Original.
Hey guys, it's Greg. Get buckets with your first bet on FanDuel, America's #1 sports book. Because right now, if you're a new customer, you get $150 in bonus bets with any winning $5 bet. Bet on all of your favorite NBA players and teams with quick bets, live same-game parlays, exclusive props, and more. Just visit FanDuel.com/Hill and shoot your shot. That's FanDuel.com/Hill. FanDuel, official sportsbook partner of the NBA. You must be 21 or older and present here in Massachusetts. First online real money wager only. $10 first deposit required. Bonus issued as non-withdrawable bonus bets that expire 7 days after receipt. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. And Hope is here with gamblinghelplinema.org or call 800-327-5050 for 24/7 support. Play it smart from the start with GameSenseMA.com or call 1-800-GAM-1234.
I'm Tumani. When I was younger, I may have did some stupid things. I committed some crimes, I even got shot, but I'm not a criminal.
That's right. I'm Jamal. I work for youth advocate programs, yeah.
WEEI-FM and HD1, Lawrence, Boston. We're always live on the free Odyssey app. We continue with Rob Bradford and Baseball Isn't Boring on WEEI.
And streaming everywhere on the Odyssey app.
Oh my goodness. If this is the best baseball show in the history of baseball show, I don't know what it is. This is the Baseball Isn't Boring show. Joe Braidman, the straw that stirs the drink, behind the glass. Say hello, Joe.
What is going on, Bradford? Great first hour.
A great first hour. I feel we haven't really had a bad hour since we launched this baby. Julian McWilliams is still here. Boston Globe. Look at he's seduced by the whole idea of being just chopping it up with the baseball guys.
Just hanging with the boys, man.
It's a great Richard Jefferson question by you.
Oh, wasn't it?
I mean, you hit you knew you got Kenley in the rocking chair with that one.
Yeah, you're a basketball person.
That's you're an honest guy.
Yeah.
Like you're honest.
You're honest.
That's what I love about you.
This is what I love about you.
I love that you're honest.
You're just so. I mean, you just wear your heart on your sleeve. How do you do it?
Don't let everybody down by not being honest. And it's funny because, I want to get, so the Play Tessie guys are with us. Hold on, guys. I'm going to call you out individually because you all deserve your own introduction. But I do want to get the sort of the breakdown of the Kenley interview. And before I get to the Play Tessie guys, I'll get it from you, Julian. Go ahead. Just go ahead. What was your takeaway?
Somber man. Somber man. You know, I think this is, it's not just, obviously he's a professional and obviously he has a job to do, but just from beyond just Kenley, the Red Sox clubhouse in years past, when we're saying, you know, you're probably going to finish last in the division, they're probably like, especially Verdugo when he was here, we don't care what the media says, we're going to prove you guys wrong. Now there just seems to be like, yeah, you guys are right.
But that goes back to what I was saying before, and this I've said it multiple times with Kenley because he brought it up. He said the same thing that Devers said. He said the exact same thing that Devers said. And so I said, there's only a couple guys in there, and literally a couple, who can actually say that because everybody else is trying to find their way. Tristan Casas can't say this. Trevor Story can't say it. Brian Bayo can't say it. You know, there's nobody else there in there because everyone's either trying to find their way or they haven't been around long enough or a 1-year contract or whatever it is. There's only a few guys that can say that. The other one was he's like, I saw what it was like in 2018. And
that was interesting.
He said, I thought that's how it was going to be.
I thought that's how it was going to be. I mean, and you see glimpses of it right during the season. Like even when the Dodgers was all Dodger blue that weekend, that Saturday game, that day game when they played the Dodgers, when the one game they won of the series, I never forget. I look in the press box and you see Ian Brown. Just totally it was my favorite moment of the season because for him, even it felt like playoff baseball. And for me, a person who's never experienced it, I don't mean to throw my daughter under the bus, but I missed the entire 21 postseason because my daughter was born. Great girl, by the way. She's awesome.
Get your prior. It's like it's like a caller. I like you personally. What's your daughter's name?
Peyton.
I like you personally, Peyton, but you made me miss the playoffs.
You made me miss the playoffs. So you look at that, and so I can't imagine it from a player's perspective, where you get your butt kicked in the playoffs, right? I think they lose one game in 1 and 2, right?
Yeah.
They lose. They don't win a game at Fenway.
No.
So, but then he comes back here as a member of the.
Yeah, this is how it's going to be.
This is how it's going to be, and it has not been that.
Well, and also, all right, we finished in last. That's okay because they promised me in year 2 we're going to go for it. He said it before in the podcast. He insinuated it there. Well, we come through on our promises. We promised that the Play Tessie guys are going to join us for the last couple hours. Here we go. I'm going to ask you one at a time to let everybody know your voices because we have a lot of stuff going on. We have Julian, we have me, let's start with Gordo. Gordo, what's going on?
Geez, Bradford, you get us following up all these guys every week we do this. Schreiber right after he gets traded last time, and now we're following Kenley?
Well, you know why it's good? Because you guys are so passionate, And it's like I'm going to ask you guys about like your takeaways, and you guys on the Play Tessie podcast are really, really good of being sort of the beating heart of the fan. And I'm not just saying that. That isn't like a bumper sticker or a tagline. It's true. So that's why I'm glad you're following up. Okay, Sammy, say hello.
Rob, I'm upset.
Okay.
I was going to be positive. I have no idea how I'm going to be positive after that last 2 minutes or so. Somber.
All right. Do we have Pat, or is Pat there?
No, we don't have Pat.
We don't have Pat.
Pat's he's trying to get it.
We'll figure that. But so everybody go subscribe to the Play Tessie podcast. It's an awesome podcast. We only got a couple minutes before break. So why don't we wait till after break, after Joe Braverman does his expert trending now, to let us know what's going on in the world of sports. I don't know if you know this, the NHL trade deadline. I mean, everyone's buzzing down here, Julian, about it.
Oh yeah, not me.
Julian is so. First of all, before we go to break, and we're gonna wait. Hold on.
NHL, right?
Yeah.
Do you see my melanin, Rob? Think I sit around watching hockey? I don't even like the cold.
All right. Well, I don't know how to respond to that, but I will say this, Gordo and Sammy. I'll say this. So we were at an eating establishment last night, just Julie and myself. It might rhyme with Twin Peaks, and so our waitress is talking to Julie, or talking to us, and we said, I think he said, hey, when do you close? It was like, we closed 40 minutes ago. And it was like 9:45 or something. We're like, obviously. And she's just deadpanning, and she's like being kind of weird. And then we both at the same time said, we see what you're doing. You're trying to be like
the Bobby girl. So I said the
Bobby Altoff.
Bobby Altoff. So I was like the girl who was in bed with Drake doing the podcast. And he's like, Bobby. She's like, and she knew, she's like, Bobby Altoff? And I'm like, yeah. And then she just turned to be a total jerk.
Well, but I think that was all part of the act. I think she's like, I got to lean into this even more.
Yeah, but then it just became too forced. It was like, I mean, you're at an establishment.
What did you leave for a tip?
I thought about just.
Ooh!
You thought about what?
Just putting
the line
through it, but I was a courteous man. It was on the Globe anyway, so I left her the 20%.
Well, this is what you guys have to look forward to. Gordo and Sammy are coming down to spring training. We're gonna get a chance to live all this. It's Wild West. We're gonna talk more about spring training, talk more about the Red Sox, and I also want Gordo and Sammy to react. And Pat, if he could get on to react to, I guess you guys are saying the sad trombone of the Kenley interview, but I don't know. I didn't take exactly that way, but I'm interested to see what you guys have. 617-779-7937. If you want to talk to some of the greatest minds, some of the most passionate people in all the world of baseball, Julian McWilliams, Gordo, Sammy, myself, Joe Braverman, Pat Brown, all of it. It's all coming up. We're on till 3, and Will Fleming's calling in. Will Fleming's calling in from the Dominican Republic after the Brian Bayo press conference. All right, but first we get a trend.
The Greg Hill Show, weekdays 6 to 10.
Now, here's what's trending on WEEI.
West Coast trip continues for the Celtics tonight. They are in Phoenix. They'll take on the Suns. Jason Tatum is probable. Jaylen Brown is questionable. Devin Booker on the other side for Phoenix is also questionable. Tip-off on ABC for Saturday Night Primetime is set for 8:30. Speaking of ABC, that is where you can see the Bruins welcome the Pittsburgh Penguins to town. Puck drop from TD Garden is set for 3 o'clock. Yesterday at the deadline, the Bees acquired forward Pat Maroon from the Wild and defenseman Andrew Peeke from the Blue Jackets. The Bees sent Jakob Zaboral to Columbus in exchange for Peeke. Some news breaking in the last hour in the NFL. The Broncos have agreed to trade receiver Jerry Jeudy to the Cleveland Browns for a 5th and 6th round pick in the upcoming draft. ESPN's Jeremy Fowler reports that the Patriots did have interest before the Browns came in trading for Jerry Jeudy. Red Sox are down in the Dominican Republic for 2 spring training games against the Tampa Bay Rays. The first game is set for this evening. First pitch at 5:05. You can hear Will Fleming on the call right here on 93.7 WEEI FM. And the Revolution return to MLS action. Tonight they'll be on the road to battle Atlanta United. Revs are still looking for their first MLS win of the season after dropping their first 2 games. I'm Joe Braverman, and that's what's trending on WEEI and WEEI.com.
Gresh and
All right, baseball isn't boring. Baseball is not boring. Baseball isn't boring. No matter, we have the T-shirts. Go to Swing Juice, get your T-shirt. We have them in Japanese. Very controversial Japanese baseball isn't boring T-shirts, where every Japanese person I've come across, reporters, players, said this is awesome, awesome. Yet Joe Kelly, the one guy, he said that there's an apostrophe missing or something because nobody knows Japanese characters better than Joe Kelly, the founder of Baseball Isn't Boring.
Absolutely.
Can I tell you something real quick? Julian McWilliams, who's here with me at JetBlue Park, the Play Tessie guys, back at the studios, Gordo, Sammy, and Pat. Let me tell you something. He told me yesterday, Joe Kelly, that he is wearing Shohei Ohtani's cleats.
Is that right?
Yes.
So
like he's not wearing the Shohei Ohtani model. He's wearing Shohei Ohtani's cleats, same size. So he doesn't have a deal with New Balance, but he's trying to get a new deal with New Balance by wearing Shohei Ohtani's cleats.
Is Shohei trying to emasculate him?
No, he's trying to build his brand.
Oh, okay. So he's attaching himself to Shohei.
Or Shohei's attaching himself
to him.
And then conversely, Shohei Ohtani's attaching himself to the Baseball Isn't Boring brand.
Is he going to come on the podcast?
He may.
He might.
We're in negotiations.
Okay.
That's very exciting. All right. Well, we have that's Julian McWilliams. I'm Rob Bradford. This is Baseball Isn't Boring. The Play Tessie guys, Play Tessie podcast, the hottest Red Sox podcast out there. Not even question. Gordo, Sammy, and Pat. Pat, say hello.
What's going on, guys?
Oh,
there he is. Yeah.
Let's go. What's going on, guys?
Pat Brown, the Tyler O'Neill of podcast world. He's jacked. So all right. I want to get each of your reaction from the Kenley Jansen interview. You all heard it, correct? Yes?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yep.
All right. Go, Pat, I'll let you start first since we want to get used to your voice. Pat, what's your take?
I'm so on to 2025. It's just everything coming out of spring training, everything coming out in the media. Like, there's nothing to be optimistic about. It's to the point where they're punting and it's not even opening day. And like the vets sound like they don't want to be there. They want more to be done. Front office isn't going to do it no matter how hard they're pushed.
The press conference going on in Santo Domingo though.
Yeah, exactly. Come on, Pat.
Shoot, the quote's coming out of that.
Oh, yeah. Surely once that's wrapped up, they'll get Montgomery and everything.
How could you not be positive right now, Pat?
Yeah, but I mean, it's depressing at this point. I don't remember a spring training so early on where you just knew, not necessarily it's going to go off the rails, but just such a lack of optimism. It's crazy.
All right, so what you're saying is that you were jacked and pumped from the Kenley Jansen interview. Gordo, what's your thoughts about the Kenley Jansen interview?
It just feels like it's a guy who wants to know what his life is going to be. What his life is going to be. Like he wants his life on the rails. Like he just wants to know where he's going to be, what he's going to be doing. He wants to be with a team that is trying to compete. And if he's not going to be with this team, if this team's not going to compete, he wants to be with a team that is going to compete. And it just feels like he's just kind of swimming in place until it happens.
Before I get to Sammy, obviously Kenley sat down with me in the first week or so of spring training, said what he said. Like we said on this interview, he said there's a 60% chance he on the plane to Fort Myers. He said the thing about, hey, they told me first year compete, second year go for it, and now we have this quote unquote vision. Was it the same vibe? Basically, was it the same vibe? Like I felt, this is how I felt. Again, we'll get to you in a second, Sammy. But I felt that he was desperately trying to say we're going to be okay. We're going to be okay. It's my job to get these guys in the right place. And this is what he should say, right? I mean, I want him to be honest, but he has to integrate that a little bit. But he definitely was trying to do that more. But then he kept coming back to things like, yeah, it was awesome when I saw like how awesome the crowd was here when they won the World Series and have a parade. And I thought it was going to be like that in 2024. So anyway, Sammy, what do you got?
I'm going to tie it into this quote from Breslow from the Bayo press conference. He said, "We strive to create an environment where players want to stay here." So I hear that, and then I hear Kenley, and I just wish the organization would practice what they preach, because Kenley did not sound thrilled to be a Boston Red Sox right now. So we'll see if it changes with the Bayo stuff, but man, this is, Pat said it all. It's dreary right now.
Well, and I think that I haven't heard the sound from the Bayo press conference. I haven't seen the quotes from the Bayo press conference. And I understand, like, when you sign an extension, a guy to an extension, that's the narrative. But at the same time, it's, well, free agents, Jordan Montgomery, this is the one thing about Jordan Montgomery, guys, I think it goes under the radar. If Jordan Montgomery's price drops, let's say 3 years, whatever, right? Obviously, that's a no-brainer for the Red Sox. You get the 3 year, you get the opt-outs. There you go. He's good enough. He's a number 3 starter, but that's still, you do that. But at the same time, does Jordan Montgomery want to come here? Like, Jordan Montgomery wants to win. And as much as Craig Breslow can say that Brian Bayo's signing signals people want to be here for a long time, well, you got to get people to come here in the first place. That's the problem. Julian, I can see you're getting all riled up over this.
And listen, I like Brian Bayo as a pitcher. I think he's going to be a really good pitcher in this league. However, let's not act like he had like a 3.4 ERA. Granted, he went into the last 3 starts with a 3.78 ERA. Then the last, his last 3 starts were just abysmal. But he faded toward the latter part of the season. And that's something we have to be mindful of. We always talk about, well, he had a great September as a rookie. Okay, well, and he had a great first half, and did last year. So, okay, well, so now an extension. This is the reason why we're such and such, because we signed him to an extension. He still has something to prove, right? There's still things that he has to prove.
This is not, I'm trying to think. I mean, this isn't even Corbin Carroll, right? This is not Corbin Carroll. This isn't Spencer Strider. This isn't that. This is your best we all know, guys, that the best options for these extensions that become so important in this organization is Brian Bayo and Tristan Casas. After that, 100%. It's a cliff. So any of you guys, Gordo, Sammy, Pat, what do you got?
It's starting to feel like the Yankees when they go like, of course, so-and-so wants to play here. Earn your pinstripes. It's great to be a Yankee. Like, why would Jordan Montgomery want to play for the Red Sox right now? What's appealing other than just money?
And you've got other guys who you've seen evidence of, like, remember Zach Eflin last year? It's like he gets an offer that he likes from the Red Sox, and then he goes and takes it to the Rays and goes and signs there. Like, you've got guys.
Well, you gotta, Gordo, you have to, this is the one thing the Red Sox have to get their head around.
Yeah.
They have to pay more. They're in a position where they have to pay more.
Yeah.
They didn't used to be, but that's where they are now.
I think it's a different generation of cats too, right? That we're looking at. Like, to your point, nobody really cares any longer about like the mystique of, oh wow,
no, the Fenway experience. No,
wow, it's the Fenway experience. Oh wow, no, like you have to win. I think people are looking at organizations like the Braves and the Dodgers for what they do, right? I don't think they're looking at them necessarily saying, oh, they're historical organizations. So if it's players are no longer taking pay cuts. We're seeing that across all sports where we're seeing guys saying, no, I want to get my values worth. So nobody wants to take a pay cut to come to Boston where you're not sure if you're going to win. And your best starter that you're talking about currently right now is Nick Pivetta, who got booted out the rotation. Cora said whatever he said.
Go.
It's not like
you
that.
already heard
It's
you
not
already heard
like-
Julian rip Nick Pavetta for walking around barefoot the other day.
It's not like that. Oh, he got taken out the rotation because this. No, he wasn't performing. He wasn't performing, and now he's in the conversation to be an opening day starter.
Well, and I tell you what, and Pat, you weigh in on this. I tell you what also does not help them is when Kenley says they said that we were going to do this. They said I signed up here. I had other places to go. I had never not made the playoffs. My time's running out. My whole goal was to be the closer for a World Series winning team. And when I signed, they laid it out for me. They said we are going to be competitive, and all signs show that that's going to happen. You go back to last offseason, Masa Yoshida, Justin Turner, Kenley Jansen, Chris Martin, Adam Duvall. That is practicing what you're preaching. So Kenley's like, all right, let's go. And then you get here, and they go reverse course. So for other free agents, they're like, you're going to tell us you're going to be good? Like, how are you going to be good?
And all these guys talk, right? All these guys talk. They all work out at the same places in the offseason. They all – have the same trainers, agents, whatever have you. They're getting these group chats like, dog, what is going on with your team? That's what people are saying in the group chats. Like, why are you there? What is happening? So word starts going around like, hey,
I can tell you, I've walked into a lot of clubhouses in spring training. I've gotten so much of exactly what you said. What's going on in Boston?
What's going on? And it's becoming scary because people started asking these questions 2 years ago. And now you're getting, and it was just probably, from here or there, but now you're getting from everywhere. What's going on with your team? What's going on with your team? You're gonna cover a bad team again? What's going on with your team? And it's like, dude, your guess is as good as mine. Now, we haven't talked to the owners in 2019.
Pat, what's your take?
No, I think you said it. It feels like for the Sox to actually get Montgomery, either the years or the price has to drop. But the only thing with that is if the years or price drop, you would think that teams like the Phillies, the Cubs, the Giants would also be in on that price drop. What in the world would make Jordan Montgomery choose the Red Sox over those three teams that are actually trying to be wild card division winning teams? And like Julian said it, like there's no mystique anymore at this point. No one's choosing the Red Sox for prestige over the Cubs, over the Phillies, over the whoever. They need to go out and overpay and establish a winning team to draw those kinds of guys in. Because right now they're, like you guys have said, like it's what's going on. Why would anyone want to be here right now?
Well, and Gordo, I think you're the one who brought up the Zach Eflin thing, right? Or Sammy? Who brought it up?
That was me.
Gordo. So the Zach Eflin thing, even last year, was a good example of this, where I think one of the things that Heim didn't do was, in guys like that you have to get uncomfortable, right? We all know this. You have to get uncomfortable when it comes to free agency. Zach Eflin, don't give me that you offered the same thing, because there's taxes in Massachusetts there aren't in Florida.
Tell me about it.
And yes, and there's also there's also the fact that guys from Orlando. So you have to pay more. You have to get uncomfortable. And now, on top of paying more, because of things like that, you have to pay more because you are not perceived as a winning team. So when you get into this like, oh, well, yeah, we offered Yamamoto. Why even bother? Why even get into the club if you aren't going to be invited back into the gold room?
Exactly.
You just have to set yourself apart. It's
almost like you want to just be like I was in the club last night. I saw Drake. He had a session over. He had his own section over there. It's like, all right, well, do you have Drake money? It's like, why are you bragging about like Drake having his own section with bottle service?
What are you gonna say, Gordo?
Well, I just look at it in terms of like you have to set yourself apart. That the one thing the Red Sox have been able to do to set themselves apart from other teams today, it's with the medical staff, and you can see that with the guys they signed that are injured. But in the past, they were able to set themselves apart because they win every year. They win the division every year. They're winning wild cards every year. They're always in the playoffs. If they can build up a pitching infrastructure and maybe that meets expectations that all the fans have this year.
But here's the problem, Gordo.
To hang your hat on.
Here's the problem. You say, hey, listen, I got the Rich Hills Mustang in the garage, right? The Mustang that he's refurbished. So he's getting this Mustang ready, and hey, It's gonna look awesome. It's gonna have a nice steering wheel. It's gonna have floorboards. It's gonna have wheels. It's gonna have everything. It's gonna look awesome. But you also have this other car all ready to go, and this wave of cars all ready to go. That's what they're looking at. You can't. All the stuff they're doing under the hood will pay off. It will pay off
Rob,
in 2026, 2027.
That stuff only matters beyond the money. Like it's about the money first and foremost. That stuff only matters once you're competitive in that regard. Like that's where you're getting at here. You have to make a competitive offer with other teams and then have things to differentiate yourself. If you're not going to get in the neighborhood of other teams, then none of the stuff matters.
Oh my God, it's become so convoluted. It makes me miss Dave Dombrowski, where he see a need, see a guy, get the guy, done. No questions asked.
Well,
like we're talking about the medical staff and like the allure of Fenway. Like just get your guy, pay up.
And he would also say, this is what we're going to get. And he would say, we are going to trade for a closer, and we are going to sign an ace. Next thing you know, it's David Price and Craig Kimbrell. Like that's what it is. And I'm anxious to hear what you guys have to say about Craig Breslow too, because I'm asked a lot about Craig Breslow. What do you think about Breslow? We got to take a break in a second here, but it is. I'll say what I have to say, and then after the break, you guys can weigh in. I think with Breslow, it's a tricky one because we just don't know, and we don't know. We know what he's doing now. We have an idea of how he's handcuffed because of finances, but ultimately we don't know. And when Kenley was in here, you said it, Julian, this is all about the trade deadline. We know what's happening here. Like, you probably aren't going to get Jordan Montgomery. You aren't going to get Blake Snell. You aren't going to get these other guys. This is a team you're going to have. Maybe you hit the sweet spot in all these guys. Get to the trade deadline. That is when we can definitively say Craig Breslow is the same or different than Chaim Bloom. That's it. Go ahead. Go ahead.
They almost gave him like an out, right? I think, and if I'm Chaim, I'm sitting there like, oh, you mother, whatever's, like, because it's like because you look at the situation, he didn't get any of that. It was like, well, it's up to him to make up the roster. Now ownership is coming out and saying, yeah, he has a certain tax bracket. Do
you think in this offseason, since they moved on from Chaim Bloom, that the financial structure has changed, the financial approach has changed for the Red Sox?
I think it's been the same all along. I think they just didn't want to admit it. They just didn't want to come out and admit.
See, I think something changed. I think something changed.
So you think we think they
I think they don't, as stupid as like the full throttle thing, I don't think they move on from Chaim. I don't think they say what they said at the beginning of the offseason without like having some like, we're going to go for this. And maybe they were like blinded by, oh, we really have a chance at Yamamoto, and that's what they were going to do. Mm-hmm. Oh, we'll pay Yamamoto $250 million, and that'll be our full throttle thing. Maybe they thought that, but just by all of their actions up until when all of a sudden, whoop, it went the other way, it just seemed different. Anyway, we got to take a quick break. Julian McWilliams of the Boston Globe, Sammy Gordo, Pat of the Play Tessie podcast. I'm Rob Bradford, Joe Braben behind the glass. If you want to call and talk to all of these geniuses, 617-779-7937. Be back after this.
From the Rubenstein Law Studio.
Let's go. We're on Twitch. Look at there's Julian McWilliams. There's Pat Brown. There's me. I don't see Gordo. I don't see Sammy.
We're here.
We're all, you're there. Everyone's there. The Play Tessie guys.
The Twitchers can see us. You can't see us.
I'm Rob Bradford. This is a Baseballs and Boring show. Going to be with you every single Saturday, and it's going to be awesome, as it has been awesome. If you want to go check out what we said previously leading up to this moment, go to the Odyssey app. Go check it out. I'll put it up on the Baseballs and Boring feed a little bit later as well. And part of that, of course, is the Kenley Jansen interview. Kenley walked up the stairs. We talked to him. Everybody but me thought it was like a big sad trombone. I was just enamored with Gucci sunglasses. Those were nice sunglasses, Julian, right?
Yeah, I
Correct?
lost mine. Not Gucci, but
yeah. I told you how much my sunglasses cost.
Yeah, I mean, hey.
Yeah.
It's good.
Listen, that's all that podcast money. All right. So I asked the question before the break. What is the perception? How should we perceive Craig Breslow right now? He got up there at the and guys, tell me, you follow this stuff from the Brian Bayo press conference, which hopefully we're going to have Will Fleming come on at some point to sort of give us boots on the ground take on it. But what did we miss from the Brian Bayo press conference? Anything?
Well, we didn't get to hear too much of it. We were looking at the Alex Spear tweets, which have the quotes. But for me, it was the one I mentioned earlier about how Breslow wants to build kind of an environment that attracts players to stick around. So I'll believe it when I see it.
All right. Well, all right, Gordo, you can go first. Craig Breslow.
Yeah,
thoughts?
it's so hard to judge at this point, just because he comes in, they have such a high payroll already, and he's told it needs to be lower than it was already. It's like how much can he work with that? I liked your point, Rob. Like, we'll know at the deadline, because either he's going to be in a position where he has to get creative and add because the team's competing, or the team's not going to compete, and you've got a bunch of sellable parts that we didn't know in previous years if Chaim Bloom would trade expiring contracts, sellable parts. We saw him hold on to J.D. Martinez and Nathan Eovaldi and Xander Bogaerts. Will Craig Breslow trade Tyler O'Neill, Nick Pivetta, Kenley Jansen, Chris Martin, guys under expiring contracts? Like, that's when you're going to learn who Craig Breslow is in this job.
You know, there's so many. The trade deadline, you're right. I'm looking forward to the trade deadline. And this is another reason, by the way, I think they should think 3 times before trading Kenley Jansen, because if you are in it at all, you don't want to be chasing a closer if Kenley's good. And if you're not in it, then fine, trade him then for probably twice as much as you can get right now. But I always find, I thought that Chris Young, Dayton Moore, who works for former Royals GM, works for the Rangers now, he came on the podcast, and the story he told I thought was so awesome. Chris Young, who obviously is the Rangers GM right now, he got everybody together before the deadline. And remember, the Rangers weren't like running away with anything. The Rangers were, what were they? Like their record wasn't that great, right? I mean, it was what it was. But Chris Young got everyone together on a road trip and said, all right, guys, do we think that we have a chance to make a run at this thing? Do we? Because if we do, here are the list of guys, these prospects, which we're going to have to trade. We're going to have to trade. And that's how it's going to be. I think at that point they'd already trade Cole Reagans for Adolis Chapman. But these are the guys. If we're going to do this, then let's get our head around that. That's the meeting which I want Craig Breslow to have. That's it, right?
Yeah.
So, all right. So, Sammy, what do you got on Craig?
It's kind of tough to grade him because the situation that you just kind of outlined, we don't even know if he has the authority to have a meeting like that. We know that he has restrictions.
I hope he does.
Yeah, I mean, me too. I like what Craig Breslow's done. The injuries to the guys he's acquired aside, to me, it's like he's hit a bunch of singles, but the expectation was to hit a home run. So I understand if people don't love the moves he's made, but I think they're all good, just not great.
Yeah, that's the thing. Is like you can point to every move that he's made and say that's a good move.
Yeah,
but it's just. Yeah, it's just a bunch of singles. Like you haven't made a franchise.
You don't even know that. I mean, Chris Sale is dealing 50 minutes up the road, and
yeah, it's just a flawed roster. I think if you look at like even their second base situation, you know, Emmanuel Valdez. What are you going to get from him? Like, is he really? At this point, you need run prevention. And I think that's why they want Sedan to make the team so bad. Is because
they want him to make the team so bad
because they know that run provincial is paramount, particularly how they played last year. And so you can have a Tyler O'Neill who's a Gold Glover in left, but what does that really mean being a Gold Glover in left at Fenway? Right? I mean, it means more if you're a Gold Glover in center field and right field. So if you don't have any run prevention, then what do you really have? Then you have a logjam with Masataka Yoshida.
Well, I was just going to say
he's not an outfielder, but he's also not a DH.
What's striking to me watching O'Neill, and I actually think that O'Neill is the guy that I say, okay, I think he's going to have a good year, not only because he's benching a lot, but because Pat, can you again? Pat is our resident weightlifting podcaster. When Tyler O'Neill says the Red Sox don't have weights big enough for him to max his bench for dumbbells, he said they only go up to 120 and he needs 150. Are you offended by that? Are you offended? Like, here you go, another example of the Red Sox cheaping out on stuff.
Honestly, when I heard that, my jaw did drop. I'm not gonna lie to you. That's asinine that he can't even max out. And I don't even blame the weight room. I just blame that Tyler O'Neill's a freak.
He said in St. Louis too they didn't have it. It's crazy.
Yeah, this is a flaw in baseball. Is again the evolution of the great game of baseball. But Tyler, my point is that Tyler O'Neill, watching him, he's been really good in the outfield. You realize not only is he good in the outfield, but how inadequate they were in left field last year with Masa Yoshida. Terrible.
And hold on. I got ripped, and I remember the tweet for saying he was bad defensively, and that the scout
was it one of these guys.
It might have been.
It wouldn't be. I don't think any of us are standing up for.
Just out him right now. We're all here.
Yeah.
I don't know who it was. I really don't know who it was. But I mean, it was somebody saying, "Oh, how could you say that?" And he's terrible. He's horrible. And if you look at him jumping to the wall in Houston when the ball was like going that way, and he just jumped on the Crawford boxes, I was like, "Yeah, this is my sort of my victory lap." Right? Yeah. Of saying how bad he is in outfield. Oh, by the way, this year he's a DH. And he's not a DH because he doesn't really hit home runs. You have a left-handed DH who doesn't hit home runs. Hits grounders and singles.
Rob, you got ripped for that one too. That was yours, Rob, right? The ground out to second base.
Well, it was facts. It was science. He grounded out to second more than like any human being alive.
It's all science. It's all backed by numbers. He was like what in the bottom 3%.
Before we go to break, let's go to Steve in the car. Steve, what's going on?
Hey, I'm a fantasy geek. If Kenley Jansen is gone, who would be the closer? And then the last thing I would say too, you mentioned Texas. Note that Texas was still able to hold on to Evan Carter and Wyatt Langford. So they win the World Series and then still got 2 Rookie of the Year candidates. So there you go.
Yeah, it's a great point. And thanks for the call, Steve.
Simeon, by the way.
Yeah.
Simeon wanted to be here.
Right. We said we were. Oh, no. Yeah.
Simeon wanted to be
here. Yeah. And here's a spoiler of that analogy, which is
a second baseman,
which is a good one. The Red Sox don't have anyone come close to Evan Carter and Wyatt Langford. They don't have anyone close.
No, and that's the thing. Like when you look at roster building, right, and saying, oh, we're gonna wait on these players. Who? Ronald Acuna? Is that what we're talking about? Like I don't want to mention the other guy in Tampa because he's not there. Whatever his name is. He played shortstop for some time. Is he that? Do they have any guys like that?
But this loops back to the extension conversation.
Is Roman Anthony Ronald Acuna?
This is what I'm talking about. Is that we would love to be like, oh yeah, look at everybody signing guys before they get to the major leagues. This is how baseball is doing it. And you would love, and I would love to go down to Roman Anthony and Marcelo Meyer and Kyle Teal and ask them and say, hey, have they talked to you about extension? I couldn't do that with a straight face.
They couldn't do it.
No.
Couldn't do it.
Anyway, we got to take a break. All right, so we got everybody here. This is the Baseballs and Boring Show. Myself, Rob Bradford, Julian McWilliams of the Boston Globe, Sammy Gordo, and Pat of the Awesome Play Tessie podcast. We're going to talk more about the Play Tessie podcast in the final hour with you all the way up to 3 o'clock. Running the show is Joe Braveman behind the glass. This, once again, I don't know if I told you, is the Baseball Isn't Boring Show.
93.7 WEEI.